Hello everyone, welcome you all. My name is Pavan. So in this video, I'm going to show you the flow control statements in Python. So normally the flow control statements are divided into three different parts. One is conditional statements and iterative statements, or we can also call as a looping statements, and jumping statements, also called as a transfer statements. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to use conditional statements in Python. So in Python, there are two types of conditional statements. One is if else and other one is else if. So let's see how we can do that to demonstrating by a few examples. Let me just open PyCharm. So here I'm going to create a new Python file to demonstrate if else conditions. Now here I will name it as a conditional statements. Conditional statements. Now okay. Now it's created a new Python file. So let me just show you one thing. So here I will just say a is equal to something called 10, right? I have initiated a variable. Now how to use if else condition here? The syntax will be like this. It will start if condition and we need to put a condition here. Let's say a greater than 20, right? So a greater than 20. This is a condition. So if this condition is true, and then immediately we have to print some output message. Let's say print. So this is a true condition, right? I'll just say true condition is matched. So if this condition is true, and immediately this message will be printed. And suppose if the condition is false, then we need to also write a else condition. So here else will be there in the again from the beginning, because in Python indent is very important. So the print should be exactly comes under condition here. When I press enter here, wherever the cursor is blinking, so here we need to stop writing the code. So now this print will be part of a if block, and when you press enter key again, it is waiting there itself. Again, if you write one more command or one more statement here, that will be part of if block. But else is a different command, so I'll just start again from the beginning. So else, and here if I press enter again, so the cursor is blinking under else block, else part, right? So here we need to write the condition. So here we need to write the statement. Let's say print. Here I will say so false condition. False condition. So what we have understood here is if this condition is true, and then a print command will execute, true condition will be displayed. And if this condition false, and then else plot will be executed. So this is a syntax of if else statement in Python. Now let me run this code. Now we will see false condition because a is not greater than 20. Now when I say a is equal to 30 now, thus then if condition becomes true. Now it will print true condition. Now when I run this, it will give you true condition. So based on the condition, it will decide which block we need to execute, either if block or else block. Okay, this is a one example. Let me just say this is a example one. Now we'll see one more example. So here, instead of this condition, we can also directly write either true or false. Anything is fine. Now what I can do is here, so just keep this variable one side. I'm not using this a now. So instead of this condition, I can just write a true here. Okay, this is also correct. So if the true is true, and then this statement will execute. Or if it is not true, then else part will be executed. Now when I run this, this is simply a boolean value, right? So now the true condition is executed. Perfectly right. Now I make this as a false. Now you can see here. Now when I say false, so else block should execute. Now run this code. Now we can see false condition. So the else block is executed. So based upon the condition, again we can directly specify the boolean value, either true or false. So that is also correct. So I'll show you one more example now. So here instead of false and true, we can also give a number. Let's say true is representing 1, false is representing 0 in Python, right? So instead of this false and true, we can also give a number. Let's say 1 here. So 1 is representing the true, right? So if 1, then true condition will execute. If 0, and then else block will execute. Now when I run this code, see now true condition. That means we have specified 1. So instead of 0, so 0 representing the false. Now when I run this code, this will give you a false condition as an output. Okay, so we can also give 0 and 1 instead of true or false. So 1 representing the true, 0 representing the false. Now I'll show you one more example. Suppose, let me just give one more example. So here I want to print a number is even number or odd number. Let's say even or odd number, even or odd number. Now let me just write a code how we can do that. So I'll create a variable. Let's say a is equal to 10. So this is my variable, and which contains a value called 10. So I wanted to find whether this number is even number or odd number. So let's write a if condition now. So let's say if. So what is the condition we have to put? So how we will say whether this is an even number or odd number? So any number which is divided by 2, which is produced 0 as a remainder, and that comes under the even number, right? So here I write if condition if a percentile, okay, and 2, okay, if it is producing the output as a 0, right, and then I need to write print number is even number is even number, right, and else. So else again start from the beginning. So else again I can print here number is odd number is odd number. So even else also we need to put a column, right? So this is how we need to write a if else condition in Python. Now let's run this code. So 10 is even number, so 10 divided by 2, which will produce 0 as an output. So this condition becomes true. Now this block will execute. Now when I run this code, it will give you number is even. Now when I say 15, so 15 is odd number, so 15 divided by 2 will produce 1 as an output. So else block should execute. Now when I run this code, it will give you number is odd number. Okay, so this is how we need to use if else condition in Python. So now I'm going to show you one more example how we can write multiple statements under if or else block. Now let us see how we can write multiple statements under if or else block. So let me write one more here, multiple statements under if else blocks. Okay, now we'll see. So here I will just create a direct condition as a if. I'll make it as a true if it is a true condition. Now here I will write set of statements. Let's say print here statement 1, right? So this is a statement 1, and then immediately I will create a few more statements like this under if condition. Let me just copy this, right? So this is one statement and this is another statement. Now I have created 1, 2, 3 statements under if block. If this true condition is true, then these statements should execute. Now similarly else block. So let me just go to else block now. So in else block also I will create a few statements. So under this else block again we need to create one more statement. So let's say print statement 4, and again I will create one more statement, print statement 5, right? So now I have created multiple statements under if condition and one more multiple statements under else block. Now let us run and see this. When I run this code, so if I see statement 1, 2, 3 is executed because we mentioned as a true condition here. So when I say this is a false, right? So else block statement should be executed. So that means it should give 4 and 5. Now let's run this code. You will get 4 and 5. Okay. Now, so for example, I want to write one more statement here, which is not part of else block. So how we can write now? Again, we need to start from the beginning. Okay. Suppose if we start writing the next statement here itself, that will be again part of the else block. So we need to start from the beginning like this. So here we need to write again print statement. So here I can just write this is not a part of if or else blocks. Okay, just I have written one more message. So this is out of else and out of if. So when I run this code, now you can see here. So here this is false, if condition is false, so else block is executed. And out of this if else block, there is a normal message I have printed here. So this is not part of a if or else block. Okay. Now this is how we can just specify multiple statements inside if block and also else block. So there is also one more way we can specify multiple statements in single line. Okay, so now I'll show you how we can do that in single line. Let me just remove this. So this here we have mentioned how different statements or multiple statements, how they are part of if or else condition, right? Now I will write a different condition now, so we can just include all statements or multiple statement in single line, so it will reduce the code a lot. Now I'll show you one more example. So I'm just removing this now. So how we can specify multiple statements in single line. Okay, now here I'll write if else condition in different way. Just observe this carefully. So directly I'll start with a print command. Here I'll just say print welcome. Okay, condition I'll specify here. Print welcome if the condition is true. Else print let's say a Python. See now. So how this will execute? So print welcome if true, else print Python. Okay, so first it will verify this condition. If true, so print welcome will be printed, the left side of the value. If it is not true, else print Python. So Python will be printed. Either this one or this one will be printed. If the condition is true, then print welcome will be printed. If the condition is false, else plot will be printed. But here, I just written the statements in one line, one single line. Okay, this is one more syntax the Python will support. Now, when I run this code, observe this output. Now you can see welcome is printed. So why it is welcome is printed? Because if true, we specify the condition is true. If it is true, then this portion will be printed. Suppose I make this as a false. If suppose the condition is false, and then else block will printed. Now when I run this, now we can see Python, which is else block is printed. So here we can specify either true or false. This is a boolean variable, fine. And we can also specify the condition here. Okay, we can also specify the condition. Now I'll show you how we can specify the condition. Now here I'll write one condition. So here instead of true and false, I put some condition. Let's say 10 less than 20. So what condition it is? So 10 less than 20 means true, right? So if it is true, which portion should execute? So the first portion will execute, right? Now when I run this code, it should execute again welcome. This is an output of the second statement. Okay, because this condition is true, so welcome portion will be executed. And suppose if I make this condition false, now let's say 10 greater than 20, so this condition is false, so else part will be executed. Else part will be executed. Now we can say Python is printed, so this block is executed. So we can put conditions in single line also. We can just print, we can put all the statements in the single line also. So in this example, you will see if the condition is true, this statement will execute, print welcome will execute. If the statement is false, then else part will execute. So in all three examples, we have seen only one statement will be part of either if or else. But how we can specify multiple statements, right? Now let me show you one more notation. Let's say multiple line or multiple statements in single line. Multiple statements in line, and this is an example for a single statement in single line. Single statement in single line. But here I'm showing you multiple statements in single line. Let's see how we can do that. So here, if this condition is true, this portion will execute, one statement will execute. And if the condition is false, the else part will be executed. Now what I will do is I will put two conditions now. So two statements I will put. So if this condition is true, I want to execute one thing. So here let's say welcome one I want to execute, and put one more statement by separating comma. Okay, so here I will write one more statement print and say here Python 1. So welcome 1 and Python 1. So two print statements should execute when if this condition is true. Suppose if the condition is not true, then in the else block I want to execute welcome 2 and separate by comma. I'll put one more statement. So let's say this is a Python Now observe this. So if the condition is true, these statements should execute. So there are two statements here. And if this condition is false, and then else part will execute. So here multiple statements again we have. So here we need to add something else. If you have multiple statements like this, okay, so we need to include them in curly braces. So we need to do like this. So you can add any number of statements by separating comma, but all the statements should be part of curly braces. This is the syntax we need to follow. And if the condition is true, these statements will be executed within which are there in the curly braces. If the condition is false, then else block will execute. Again, we have two statements here, right? So we can just keep them in the curly braces like this. Okay. Now, if we have one statement, curly braces not at all required. So if the condition is true, the statement will execute. If the condition is false, and else part will execute. If you want to execute multiple statements in a single line, we can just put those statements in the curly braces like this. If the condition is true, and this statement will execute. If the condition is false, else block will execute. All the statements will be executed. So this is how we need to do. Now let's run and see. So for now, I'm just commenting these things. So how to comment multiple lines? So we can just say triple quotes here and here, and with the triple quotes, right? So now I'm executing this statement. Let's run this. Now we can see I have mentioned condition is true here. So these statements should execute. So that's the reason it's giving welcome 1 and Python 1. Perfectly right. Now I'll make this as a false, right? So if it's a false condition, then else block statement should execute. So I need to get output as a welcome 2 and Python 2. Now let's run this code again. You will see welcome 2 and Python 2. So this is how we need to write multiple statements in single line. But here we need to remember all the statements should be included in the curly braces. Multiple statements should be part of curly braces. Okay. So this is how we need to do. So far what we have seen here is, let me just go through. So in the case 1, we have put direct condition, right? So if the condition is true, then this if block will execute. If the condition is false, and else block will execute. So we have seen case 1, example 1. And instead of this condition, we can also directly specify the boolean value, let's say true or false. If this is true, if block will execute. If it is a false, and else block will execute. And also we have seen instead of true and false, we can directly substitute numbers like 1 and 0. So when I say 1, which is exactly matched with the false, so else block will execute. If it is a 0, then it is exactly matched with the true, then it will execute true condition, right? Now even or odd number, how to find even or odd number we have seen. If any number is divided by 2 which will produce 0 as an output, and then it is even number. If this condition is not true, then odd number. And now we have also seen about multiple statements under if block. So under if in the past, this is a condition. Under this we can put multiple statements, and in the else block we can also write multiple statements, right? So if you want to write a separate statement which are not part of if block or else block, we can start from the beginning. Now I'll also show you how to write multiple statements, single statement and multiple statement in the single line. Now in this example, so print welcome is a one part. This is a one part, and else block is another part. So here if it is true, this part execute. If it is a false, then this part will execute. And similarly, instead of true and false, we can also put the conditional statements. Now I also shown you how to execute multiple statements in single line. So if you observe this, if the condition is true, these statements will execute, which we need to put under curly braces. And if the condition is false, and the else block statements will be executed, right? So this is how we need to use if else conditions in different ways. Now along with this, we also have one more conditional statement called elif. So let's see how we can use elif. So when we need to go for elif means, if you have more number of conditions, not only one condition, if you have more number of conditions to be validated, and then we can go for elif conditional statement. Now I'll show you how to use elif condition. Please concentrate. So I'm just removing the stuff, and now I'm going to show you elif condition. Now what is my requirement here is, I will just give a number, let's say some number here. I'll initiate here. Suppose based on the number, if I give 10 here, I should get an output as a 10, and if I give 20 here, I should get output as a 20, and so on. So here I will use a elif statement in Python. Let's see how we can use this. So this is a elif command in Python. So first I have initialized a variable called a is equal to 10. Now as soon as a is equal to 10, I will put if condition now. If, right? So a is equal to 10 condition. If it is true, what I should do now? I should print 10 in letters. And suppose if it is not correct, and then I need to verify one more condition. Again, you need to start from the beginning here. L if. Okay, L if. So here we can put one more condition. So let's say a is equal to, let's say 20. This is one more condition. If the condition is matched, it will verify 10 and it will exit from the condition. If the first condition is not matched, then it will enter into the second condition. Now here I will again write print, and this is a 20, right? So similarly I will write one more condition, L if a is equal to 30. This is a one more, if a is equal to 30, and then I will print this is your 30. Fine. So once all the conditions have been completed, at the end you can just specify only else block. Else, but this is optional, not mandatory. Okay. So when I say else block, here I will just print so not listed, something called so not listed. Okay. So this is how we need to write elif command. So the first condition is true, then execute 10. If first condition is not matched, then it will come to the second condition. If the second condition is not matched, then come to the third condition. If the third condition is also not matched, then finally enter into the else block. Now let's run this. I have given a is 10. Now when I run this code, it will give it 10. Now similarly, if I say 20, right? So when I run this code, it will come to 20. Suppose if I give 50 here, so 50 is not listed anywhere. So none of the conditions are not matched. So finally, it will come to the else block. Now when I run this code, it will give you not listed. So as I said, else is optional. Okay, else is optional. So we can also remove this else part. Then what happens? Let's see. So I'm just removing the else block. Okay. Now we'll see what happens. So if I give non-listed number, so none of the conditions are not matched, then what it will give you output. Let's run this and see. It's nothing. So it's not returning anything, right? So else block is a optional. Else block is optional for elif statement. Okay, so but still we can have this one, no issues at all. So if the none of the condition is not matched, finally it will enter into the else block. Okay, now when I say 50, so not match anything, so it will come to the else block and it is printed not listed. So this is how we need to use a elif command in Python. So if you have more than one condition, then we can go for elif command. Okay. So these are all conditional statement we have in Python. So else if and then elif command. If you have only one condition, go for the else if, and then we have multiple commands and multiple conditions, then we can go for elif command. Okay. So that's all for this video. So thank you all. So please subscribe my channel to get more updates on this. Thank you all.